So, obviously we've discussed Nathan cleverly. Another Brit in a big fight is Ovil McKenzie. Ovil the upsetter McKenzie against Marco Huck. Now, I guess the headline here is this is for the IBO Cruiserweight title. So, I'm going to be brutally honest and say I personally don't consider this to be a world title fight. What's your take on that, Nathan?
It's just a regional strap, isn't it? The IBO title. It's not. It's enough. It's a minor title. You know, I think it's got less value than the European title. To be honest, you know, even if there was no title on the line, so I wouldn't even class it as a title fight, really. You know, with the IBO belt being so minor.
This is it. Yeah, it's got. I think it's a good fight. It's going to be, you know, I imagine Marco Huck at home. Another Brit who's going to go to Germany, try and get a win over in Germany. You know, Marco Huck is a huge name and a huge fan favourite out there. It looks like an uphill battle for Ovil. What's your take on that fight, Nathan?
I think he's got balls taking the fight. You know, I think he'll lose by late stoppage. You know, 8 9 rounds, I see him getting knocked out. I just think Marco Huck's too good for him, you know. Too much skill, too much power. I mean, obviously, Ovil McKenzie's a very underrated fighter. And in his last fight, he fought Ramirez, the world title, which is a fight which I thought he won personally, you know. He was robbed, you know. If he can take that sort of performance, he might have a slight chance. But it's a long shot, really, you know. He's completely up against it.
It's going to be hard work. Do you know what? I met Ovil McKenzie recently. I met him at York Hall, and I had a bit of a chat with him, and we did a photo which I put up on my Facebook. And do you know what? He's a small guy. He really is a small guy. I mean, there's a photo for anyone who wants to see it. Check it out. It's on my Facebook page, and there's a link to that in the description here. But there's a photo of me and Ovil, and in that photo I am weighing 180 pounds, and I personally believe that I look a weight class or two above Ovil McKenzie. To me, I know he can still comfortably make light heavyweight because he told me that. I think you're looking at a guy here who is the same size as some of the super middleweights. You know, I don't see him as a bigger man than like a George Groves or a Rocky Fielding or a Callum Smith. You know, Marco Huck is a guy who fights at heavyweight, who has fought at heavyweight and who walks around 210, 215 pounds. How big an impact do you think the size difference is going to be here, Nathan?
It's going to make a big difference. I mean, we saw how good Huck was against Povetkin a few years back, you know. And obviously the sort of level that McKenzie's fighting, I mean, his sort of highest fight was against Bellew, wasn't it? Bellew and Ramirez.
Yeah.
You know, so Bellew can do it some damage, and Huck's a much better fighter than Tony Bellew. Yeah, I think it can be devastating. The size difference and the power difference.
This is it. Yeah, this is it. I mean,
you've basically got a heavyweight fighting a bloke super middleweight, really, haven't you?
That's my perspective on it. Yeah, that's my perspective on it. And Ovil, he's one of the most likeable characters in the game. You know, his story is so good, how he took so many losses and has come back. He's such a likeable guy. And I hope he's getting paid very, very well for this fight. But the truth is, it's an uphill battle. The one thing, the one glimmer of hope I give to Ovil is Ovil legitimately is a very, very big puncher. And he seems to have carried that power up as he stepped up from light heavyweight to cruiserweight. Now, Marco Huck traditionally has been known as a guy with one of boxing's great chins, but obviously he suffered a knockout loss to Glowacki. So is there a possibility, Nathan, that Huck's had a lot of fights, he's had a lot of miles on the clock, potentially some of that punch resistance is starting to fade, and he may be vulnerable to a guy who can punch like Ovil?
A little bit, yeah. But I don't think he's gone downhill that much. Yeah, I just think he'll have too much. I don't think it'll make a great deal of difference personally.
Do you?
Because against Glowacki, he was winning that fight.
Yeah, He was.
And just got knocked out by luck, so just one of them things.
Absolutely. If you were in Ovil's corner, my perspective is that I don't think Ovil can come out and box with Huck. I think he's going to be too small, and I don't think Ovil's a sophisticated boxer himself. So I hate ever give advice like this because it kind of almost undermines a boxer's talent. But I think Ovil has got to go out hard for the first 4 rounds and try and land something mega. What would that be the advice you'd give him, Nathan, or would you approach?
Go hell for leather. Go out the first 4 or 5 rounds. Try and take him out and just give it everything you got.
Yeah.
To wear him down, that's his only chance. Because if he goes and boxes conservatory, and goes and just boxes and jabs and moves and doesn't do anything, then he's going to be in a heap of trouble. He's going to have to get on him and step on him and go after him straight away. I believe, to have any chance of winning it.
This is it, yeah. We're on the same page there, mate. And, if he does live up to his nickname as the Upsetter, if he does pull off the victory in Germany against Marco Huck, it changes Ovil's life. People are going to be talking about Bellew versus Ovil, the rematch again. People are going to be talking Ovil versus Glowacki, Ovil versus Usyk. It throws him into that mix. So the opportunity is crazy, isn't it?
Really, yeah. I'm surprised he didn't go for Bellew, to be honest. He would have had a better chance, in my opinion, of going with that fight,
Well,
who would have thought Bellew would have been a world champion, Really.
This is it. You couldn't have... Well, some people probably did predict it, but, I wasn't one of them. I didn't think Bellew was going to be a world champion, but, there he is. So fair play to him, I guess. Nathan, we've burned for best part of half an hour here, mate. Before we start to wrap things up and bring things to a close, is there anything more that you want to add? Any other comments to make?
Yeah, I wanted to quickly mention Tyson Fury, if that's all right.
Yeah.
About the Joshua situation, because obviously you've seen some of the videos I've put up about Joshua, and we talked about who the best heavyweights are. I think Fury, nobody can touch him right now, personally, And it's about time people got behind him and gave him more respect, Forget his background, he's a good boxer. He's a marketable guy, he sells. I believe he's one of these guys that in 20, 30 years' time, people are going to love him the same way they love Alec, He's got that sort of likeability factor. But, I think he'd clean out the division myself. He'd beat Wilder, all these lot, Joshua. He's too clever for them in terms of boxing talent,
I get a lot of stick on this channel because I'm too pro Tyson Fury, people say. But for me, Tyson Fury, he isn't the biggest power puncher in the world, but if you take that out of it, this guy has got everything. Back foot, front foot, orthodox southpaw, outside, inside, body punching, head punching, jab, uppercut. He has got everything. He has got one of the best boxing brains, some of the most instinctive natural defence. The ability to lean, to bend, to bob and weave. For me, sometimes watching Tyson Fury, I wonder how high this can go. If Tyson Fury can get his career on track, if he can beat Vladimir Klitschko, set up fights with David Haye, Wilder, Joshua, if it all pans out for Tyson Fury, he could be a fighter who is discussed as an all-time great. He's got that potential there.
I think he'd destroy Haye. I think he'd completely be too big for Haye. I think, even though Haye's good, it would be a replica of the Vladimir Klitschko Haye fight, I think,
Haye's always been poor against taller guys. Even if you look back at that Valuev fight, that was debatable that he won that fight. He became very low volume, very risk averse, very looking for the single punch. And, for me, he becomes tentative. Even the Audley fight, I know he destroyed Audley, but even in that fight, he became very low volume. He doesn't want to stand there and jab. He's looking for the single punch. And I don't think you can do that against Fury.
No, He's a great fighter, David Hay. I mean, we all know he's coming from cruiserweight. He's proved himself. He's a world-class fighter, but he's just not suited to the big guys. I mean, he's a small heavyweight. You know, he's done well to get as far as he's gone. You know, no one expected it 8 years ago when he turned to heavyweight. No one expected him to win the world title. You know, at all.
Yeah, I mean, he'll go down as a great cruiserweight, and at this point, if he doesn't fight better opposition, he'll go down as a above average heavyweight. But, you know, David Hay won't go down as a world beating heavyweight. But, you know, the opportunities, there's so many big names in the heavyweight division at present. It's creating big opportunity, and let's just hope these big fights get made, Nathan, I guess. That's what we want to see, isn't it?
And the one thing I want to chat about quickly was Anthony Joshua before we go.
Okay.
With him, I feel that he's so easy to hit. You know, like in the Brazil fight, Brazil caused him with some good shots, didn't he? You know, and it's like his defence. He carries too much muscle, and his stamina's not great. And, you know, there's something about him that's not right. You know, there's something missing in his game, I think. You know, he hasn't got the seasoning. You know, a world champion, to be a world champion within 15 fights, you know. That's crazy, isn't it, really? I just don't think he's got enough seasoning, you know, really.
He's improving, but he's not there yet. For me, the biggest problem with Joshua, well, I've got concern over stamina, but the biggest problem is he just doesn't look as like a natural, instinctive fighter as like a Tyson Fury. He's very rigid, very upright. Defensively, he's there to be hit, as you said. He doesn't... When the bullets are flying back at him, I don't see him as calm. I don't see him as instinctively knowing what to do. And I think when he is hit, he doesn't like it. And of course nobody likes it, but I don't think he reacts to it. I don't think he knows what to do when he's hit. And I think that could be his downfall in big fights, if he doesn't have the learning experiences first.
But his next opponent should be someone like Pullett, so he can learn. You know, he should have, and Parker, you know, have 3 or 4 defences. Then in about 2 or 3 years' time, then fight the bigger names, you know, when he's more ready. Because if he gets into the big names, he's going to get wiped out. You know, I firmly believe that. I think Wilder would beat him there. Totally
agree. And that's not hating on Joshua, because as you say, he's only had 17 or 18 fights. It's just too early. He's not well-rounded enough yet to win those fights for me.
But obviously, he couldn't turn down the Charles Martin fight, really, could he? You know,
no,
I mean, that was all his Christmases in one go, wasn't it? You know.
There you go. He's taken his opportunity, and fair play to him. I just don't believe they're going to stick him into the big Fury and Hay fights and Wilder fights for a little while yet. But we shall see. It's making a fascinating sport to talk about anyway. Nathan, we'll wrap it up there, mate. Once again, if you've enjoyed the stuff we've done today, please do check out Nathan's YouTube channel, which is Main Event Boxing Talk. Give a subscribe there. And yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thanks very much. And Nathan, thanks for coming on, mate. Really good to have you on.
Thank you, buddy. I've enjoyed it.
Excellent.
See you next time.
I'll stop the recording there.